Hello everyone, Raven here. Today we're going to go into something that is more of an inverse of what you normally would consider a writer's dogma. We're going to talk about writer's block. To me, let me just say again, this isn't universal. Just as the rules aren't, hardly anything is. But in general, to me, writer's block has become more of an urban legend than anything real. What we see in movies and other places about what is writer's block, completely untrue. To give an example of a more real portrayal of it, I'd say is probably in Stranger Than Fiction. If you haven't seen it, really great movie. I love it. With Will Ferrell and can't think of her name now. Skips my mind, but she plays an author and he plays the character of the author. Turns out he starts hearing her narration and has to go to her because he finds out every one of her characters dies. And he tries to stop her. It's a great movie. But one thing that's interesting about it is for a lot of this movie, this writer, this author, she's got a sense of writer's block, but it's not writer's block. It's where she can't decide on the right way for him to die. Most of what she's writing, she's doing fine. It's going great. She's coming up with plenty of ideas. But none of them fit what she wants. That's a little closer. Too many movies make it where it's like they can't write. They simply can't do it. They can't do anything. That's not the way it works. It can be a little more like what she's going through, but to more of an extreme. From what I've seen and heard, too often it can be a matter of too high a standard. Writers in a place where they're not going to be pleased with anything because they're holding themselves to too high of a requirement. And they can't reach it. And so they're not even starting because they're not getting there yet, so they can't start. That's not good. Never hold yourself to that standard. Never let your judgment of your work be the final judgment. Others will know your work and know what's good about it and what's bad about it far better than you. Now, I'll always say it, I've said it before, when people are correcting you, when people are throwing ideas your way, don't go with exactly what they do or they tell you to do. Fix the issue they bring up, but do it your way to keep it your writing. But don't let yourself judge your own work. Doing that is part of what can bring you to this high of a standard. And sometimes you can miss some things that are actually going to be great because they're not quite what you would want. But because it has to be absolutely perfect, you throw it out. Even though others may end up liking it far more than you. That's one way it can happen. Another way, and this, I think, kind of explains a little bit more of why I don't like the idea of writer's block. Sometimes you're just not trying. Sorry, but that's what it is. I don't like the idea of writer's block because that's as though there's nothing you can do. It's completely blocked off. I think the better way to put it would be a writer's blind spot. To see a blind spot, you just turn. You change your perspective. Now, it's best when you can turn and make it so it's no longer in your blind spot, That's when it's going to be easier and better. But that doesn't mean you can't see it until you've done that. Just turn and take another look, different perspective, see what you find. I think that's a little closer to it. Because too many people, that's all it is. You just start writing. Even if it's garbage, even if you think it's terrible, you're right. Because until you have that rough draft, you're never going to reach a final draft. No matter what. And there's plenty of ways of getting around this. One of my favorite examples is from a movie called Finding Forrester. If you haven't seen it, highly suggest it. I love this film. And it's not quite as popular. Not too surprised. It's made a little more for writers, I think. But it stars Sean Connery as a very highly regarded author who wrote what's often considered a masterpiece, or the masterpiece even. But it's his only work. He never wrote anything after it. And nobody sees him. He sort of hides out in his own apartment in the Bronx. Until this one high school kid who's just about college age actually goes into his apartment because of a dare. Thing is, this kid himself is a gifted writer. And when he finds out, he starts going back to this older author for advice, for help, to keep improving his writing. Now, when this starts, he kind of draws that blank. He's in that sort of writer's block. However, as always, in this case, it's not a matter of that he just can't write. It's that he's in a position where it's a little awkward, where he doesn't feel as comfortable. It's not as usual. And so he's not getting anything. So what happens? The older author brings over something he wrote previously and said, type it up. And just has him start typing something that's already been written. After about a paragraph, the kid doesn't have to actually go and type up what's there anymore. He finds himself going off on his own trail and writes something else entirely. That's how it can work. You just gotta start. Don't worry if it's garbage. So often I'll write a poem, I'll get about halfway, and I'll feel like this is trash. And a lot of people might give up after that. No, keep at it. Keep going. Don't quit. Even if the rest of it is trash, at least you didn't give up on it and pass by the potential. Because who knows? For all you know, it could be the last verse, the last couple lines that all of a sudden hit the spot and you know what you need to do so that you can go back and make it what it needs to be. Never stop yourself. You're nervous, you're worried, you think it's not the best way to go. Check your blind spot. But that doesn't mean you just leap out of the car. No matter where you're at, there's something you can do. No matter your position, you can always see it. You can turn your head, you can look through the rearview mirror. Even if there's that exception and you are in a state of writer's block, there's always something on the other side of that wall to find if you find a way to break it down. It's always there. Writer's block wins if you don't try. Hope that's helpful. See you guys next time. God bless.